Hello everyone, welcome back to another video, your second video of today. I just wanted to go over a recent statement from Russell T Davies saying that the episode 4 of series 14 is one of the best episodes he's ever made. A recent Doctor Who writer has come out to talk about whether or not they would take on the showrunner role in the future, as well as some new Big Finish stuff as well. But before we get into it, if you could do me a teeny little favour, I know you're getting sick of me saying it, but we are so close to 20,000 subscribers. We're just over 500 subscribers away. We're in the final stretch now. Any support would be greatly appreciated. I also have a Ko-fi. If you'd like to support that, then feel free. It helps out me, it helps out the channel, and any support is appreciated in these times, but of course, only do so if you absolutely can. But with that said, let's get into the video. Russell T Davies has said that after watching episode 4 of series 14, he believes it to be one of the greatest things he has written in his life. Coming from the man who wrote It's Sin, Children of Earth, Midnight, Turn Left, and countless amazing Doctor Who eps, this is very exciting. So here is the actual quote. It was taken on the Michael Ball show on BBC Radio, I believe. BBC Radio 2 specifically. Let's take a listen.
Have you started work on Doctor Who?
I have. I sat here and I watched episode 4 last night, and I think it's one of the greatest things I've ever made in my life. So I'm very, very happy with it.
Oh, my Lord. That's fantastic.
It's looking so good, Michael.
When
cuts off there, but very interesting to see that he says it's one of the best things he thinks he's ever made, because as the initial tweet from Bad Wolf Archives pointed out, this is a man who's written Midnight, Turn Left, Children of Earth. I mean, so for him to say this, that's incredibly exciting. I'll be curious to know what story that is. I'm going to assume, based on the fact that they already have a cut of it to watch, it could be the Dr. Light episode, on the basis that we know that the Dr. Light episode was filming first due to Ncuti's availability, possibly to do with the slogan Albion, maybe, but I'm just guessing on that front. I've seen some confusion over him being able to watch episode 4 so early, because obviously they are still filming, but obviously, as I said, if it's an earlier episode, it's more likely that they have more footage of it, and it probably won't be a final cut with all the CGI done, it'll probably more so be like a rough cut. But if he's saying that, this early on, that's a very good sign for Series 14. Every time something gets said about Series 14, man, I just get more and more excited. I really think it is going to be peak Doctor Who. And as if that wasn't enough, we had Dylan Holmes Williams saying, as the lucky man who got to direct this incredible script, I've got to say I'm very excited about what we created. Hugely exciting stuff. Yeah, Dylan Holmes Williams is the director. Very excited to see what this episode is that they're hyping up. It's at the exact series midpoint as well, actually. So I don't know whether that's of any significance. Obviously, we know that series 14 is an 8-episode run, so maybe the fact that it's episode 4, it'll have like a big cliffhanger, a big twist, big revelation. I'm not sure. Could be anything or nothing. I don't know. Could be anything. But yeah, very cool nonetheless. On to a slightly lighter news story, but one that's quite interesting. Neil Cross addresses whether he'd ever take over as Doctor Who showrunner. Cross previously wrote 2 episodes in 2013, specifically Hyde and the Rings of Akaten. Neil Cross has opened up about whether he would showrun Doctor Who. The novelist and TV writer who created Luther is apparently a very good show. I haven't watched it yet. I've heard good things though. Is a big fan of the BBC sci-fi series and got to write it back in 2013. His outings for Series 7, titled Rings of Akaten and Hyde, which by the way, can I just point out, underrated episodes in my opinion. Genuinely, in my opinion, those are some of the most underrated episodes of the modern era, or at least, maybe not of the modern era, but they're underrated episodes, in my opinion. When Matt Smith played the Time Lord and Jenna Louise Coleman played his assistant, Clara Oswald. Russell T Davies, who rebooted the show in 2005, has taken over as showrunner. The Independent asked Cross what he would do if Davies asked Cross to replace him when he decides to step down again. Cross said he'd be too scared to take on Doctor Who. At the same time, having never met him, if Russell T Davies asked me round, he needed his house cleaned, or he needed someone to cook him breakfast, I would do it without hesitation. He praised Davies, saying he owes him a great deal. What he did for me and for the Doctor Who universe in general can't really be understated. Cross continued, adding, he has brought me more joy than any living human being. Cross said that he's quite good friends with former executive producer Judy Gardner, who is friends with Davies. We don't talk very much, although I do sometimes when I've had a glass of wine. Through her, I was able to get Russell T Davies' email address, and I was able to write him essentially a fan letter to say thank you. He wrote such a gracious reply, and it made me love him even more. Cross has written a film version of Luther titled Luther the Fallen Sun, and he told The Independent he wanted to respect the fans very much, but acknowledged that he is often tempted to bring back characters when he shouldn't. He said, it's the same temptation that every writer has with any episode of Doctor Who, You want to acknowledge your own personal experience of Doctor Who, and I was guilty of that myself when I did it. Cross said that he overburdened himself during the experience, stating, I had cloister bells ringing on the TARDIS, and it hadn't run since 1969. When asked if he regretted that addition, he replied, not at all, but there is an element of playing in the toy box. So yeah, that was a fun little interview from Neil Cross there. Honestly, prior to Russell T Davies' appointment, someone like Neil Cross, I think, was on my list of choices for successors, because I think he's written some underrated episodes, and I don't hear them talked about very much. Obviously, he wouldn't be my first choice, but in terms of who I thought were realistic choices for showrunner at the time, prior to Davies' appointment, he was one of those faces. So I'd be more than happy to see the likes of Neil Cross come back. You know, I think often when we talk about returning writers, the same few names will come up. The likes of Paul Cornell, Robert Shearman, Neil Gaiman. But I think someone like Neil Cross is someone who I think would be interesting to see done again. And obviously, through this interview, it's fairly obvious he's a super fan of the show. So yeah, give it another go. Why not? Then we had the announcement of a new Big Finish, or at least, I guess, the repeat of an announcement of a new Big Finish. I just saw this today, so I thought I'd bring it up. The 8th of March Strange Chemistry will feature Caitlin Blackwood significantly as the young Amy Pond. Obviously, for those of you who don't know, she played young Amy Pond in the Matt Smith era, and she is also the cousin, I believe, of Karen Gillan herself. So yeah, the resemblance really is there. I don't know what the Photoshop is on her neck, but I digress. I'm not sure what this story is. The thing is with Big Finish, right, and it's not a criticism, but sometimes I look at Big Finish covers and I think, it's almost like they put like a bunch of characters from random eras together. Like we've got Tom Baker, we've got Leela, we've got Missy, we've got Amy Pond. Like it's all very mixed mash, and it's interesting. But I almost sometimes imagine like the Big Finish offices, they just have a big dartboard of like characters that they just throw darts at, and then that's how they decide how to big story. I'm sure it's not actually that, but sometimes, you know, you're just like, oh, that's an odd choice. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see. It's nice to see Caitlin Blackwood doing Doctor Who stuff. That's really cool. And yeah, maybe I will pick it up. Finally, the final thing to do with Doctor Who that happened today is that this morning, which is a morning show in the UK, obviously, did basically a scene where they got into a TARDIS, which, by the way, what is this morning? Like, what is this prop? Why does it have 2 ports of open signs? But I digress. Yeah, they basically go back in time and see their start in this morning. I'm not sure why. I'm guessing it's just because it was the Doctor Who anniversary year and they wanted to celebrate, I guess, the anniversary of them being on this morning. So yeah, I saw some people tweeting about this, so I just thought, yeah, nice little oddity to round out the news roundup, I guess. But yeah, that about wraps up all the news. If you did enjoy this video, be sure to give it a like, comment down below your thoughts, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you later.